Sounds good. Cool. Yeah, I'm ready. No, I'm good. Yeah, thank you for having me. I think a fig is totally fine. Yeah, great. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Uh, well, I remember the first album I got actually was from one of my aunts, Sarah, um, which was a Snoop Dogg album, and I got that when I was like 12 years old, and then from there I just started listening to more and more hip hop. And actually, I had a friend whose sister died when I was a senior in high school, and that's the first time I wrote uh, like a rap verse. But previous to that, I had been dancing, and any kind of new hip hop style that came up, from breaking to b-boying to turfing to crumping. I just like got on the trend super hard, and me and my friends would like always be dancing at houses. We put together like little dances to perform at parties when we were in like, you know, middle school and high school. Um, and then it wasn't really until college that I started taking kind of performance and being an MC and a rapper as seriously as I do now. I had a group of friends that I met basically as soon as I got there, and kind of egged me on to write raps, kind of like diss tracks at them, and they would write ones to me to encourage me to write back. And eventually started writing, and then stay up all night writing. I go to bed, and I like have a word or a line. I have to come back up at my computer and just keep on writing again. And um, it just kind of like came naturally, but also just I like found voice in writing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, definitely. I mean, think about like hip hop and its origins. There's a lot of communication between kind of MCs and artists, and you know, a lot of it too is, I think it's interesting thinking about like how hip hop culture has taken away from like physical violence and translated it back through like dance. If you think about crumping, which originated in Southern California, like the dance itself is kind of, you know, a lot of like very high energy movements, swings of the arms, stomps, and people, you know, who would get in kind of like any like aggressive conflict, or like, you know, have beef with each other, instead of fighting would just kind of like figure it out through dance. And I feel like it's the same way through rap as well. You know, you kind of calling people out on things, or like, you know, if you have any issues with them, you kind of call out, you know, in poetry, like through the rhyme and through the words. And I guess with my friends, you know, we were just kind of ragging on each other for fun. And I think my friends' goal of it was, they saw potential in me and my writing and kind of uh, performance, you know, as a theater maker, and they wanted me to really start writing. So they just thought that the best way to do that, if they like kind of mess with me, so that I would, you know, have to write back. And that was kind of what I did. And from there, I've just been writing, you know, daily. And um, when a, uh, I was at my third year of Hampshire, starting my third year, my mentor, Joel Branner, he gave me a book, which is an anthology of hip hop theater pieces called Plays from Boombox Galaxy. And that was the first time that I had really seen kind of like hip hop in the theater world. And I started accompanying, Outkast and Tribe Called Quest and these other rappers I was listening to with Zell Miller III and Mark Mamuthi Joseph, Aya De Leon, these different hip hop playwrights and performers, and my mind was kind of blown. And at the same time, my work as a theater artist and a hip hop artist, which I always wanted to put together, but kind of never felt that it would work. Yeah, I was so validated with that book, and from then I've just been kind of um, off on this kind of hip hop theater work, and I think yeah, it just struck a chord. I think a lot of my friends, people that I found were close to me and were important to me, were it meant something to them. So then kind of off of that, it meant something to me. And as well, being like a super energetic and kind of like, energy being all over the place with movement specifically, like I found kind of focus in that. And I think in writing as well, I talk a lot and, you know, yeah, yeah. Mm. Well, I think when people think about hip hop now in a mainstream conversation, it kind of comes off as superficial and it only talks about kind of like these rappers that are kind of cussing and all the time and talking about violence and drugs and whatever. But if we look deeper into kind of hip hop at its root and hip hop as a movement and as a culture, at least some of the morals they hold true to that is giving voice to those that have been neglected, as well as offering a counter narrative to ones that have really been leaving out marginalized communities from its conversation, from its dialogue, from its history. And with me, hip hop is definitely a form of education as well as a way to reimagine space, reimagine identity, reimagine a history in the United States and really all over. I mean, it for me, and I just kind of from what I've seen and experienced with the communities I've interacted with, it really has given a voice to the voiceless. And I guess when I say hip hop lens, it kind of takes all the political and social aspects and um, kind of, I guess, yeah, the mission statement and kind of initial goals of the movement, and then uh, yeah, yeah, exactly, definitely. The first time where I really got involved was when a friend of mine who was putting a project in Holyoke, Mass, which is about 30 minutes outside of my school, 20 minutes outside of my school. He was working with middle school students, and I don't know if you know about Holyoke, but it's the one of the main Latino populated cities in the country, mainly Puerto Rican. Um, and he invited me to come and co-facilitate an after-school arts program called Walking the Tightrope, which was an arts program basically having the students design in different forms, or create a shoe design in different forms. So that's ceramic, painting, paper mache, kind of all different ones. And at the very end, he got a grant to buy all the participants blank white Converse shoes, and by then they had perfected the design and could put it on their shoes and got this special like ink and and that was kind of my first engagement with that. And then from there, I just like wanted to be involved more and more. Every year at my school, we have this thing called a day at Hampshire, where students from Holyoke come to Hampshire and kind of are a college student for the day. They go to a class and a lecture and a student-run workshop, and they work with a professor, eat in our dining commons, talk about financial aid, and I mean, just with all those type of things and understanding what this space has been so important for me and especially for these kind of less privileged youth of color, Latino youth, um, I just found like inspiration working with them and like energy working with them, and from from there I mean basically every summer in between school and even when I'm at school I've been involved in some kind of educational work. This last summer I was in San Rafael in the Bay Area, working with an education program called Bell, Building Educated Learners for Life.